Sometimes it just takes an event that becomes an idea that becomes a product, and then really all you need is passion and drive to take it forward. Our next company has a ton of passion and drive, there's no question about that. So with that, I would like to introduce ICARUS Devices.
Hi, my name is Sinopoli, and I'm going to tell you about the Instrument Conditions, Awareness, Recognition, and Understanding System, and my company, ICARUS Devices. Third time's the charm? Okay. Here we go. Okay. So first, a little history lesson. In 1929, Jimmy Doolittle invented instrument flight by putting a hood over his cockpit and flying blind. In 86 years, not much has changed. Pilots still use hoods to prove they can fly just by the instruments. Even dogs use them to get their ratings. Problem with these hoods is that they don't adequately prepare pilots for real-world conditions, such as inadvertent instrument meteorological flight, basically flying into the clouds when you're not expecting to, which can cause spatial disorientation and lead to an accident. Roughly 40% of these accident pilots are instrument rated, which is indicative of an overall training deficiency on how we train pilots to fly on instruments. 80% of these crashes are fatal. Due to their inherent instability and flight regimes, helicopters are at most risk for double IMC. In 2011, there was 52 crashes of helicopters going inadvertent IMC, 45 of them being fatal. In April, the FAA issued new regulations governing air ambulance flight, mandating increased weather minimums, equipment, and training, all to try and mitigate these dangers. When I was flying helicopters in the Navy, we used a piece of construction paper wedged in between our visors to simulate instrument conditions. You would start the helicopter, then jam the piece of construction paper on your helmet and fly with it the entire flight, taking it off only when coming in to land. After an instructor accidentally ripped my hood in half, trying to simulate breaking out on approach, I started thinking. The new 787 windows don't have a shade. They change transparency with just a dial. The technology behind this is polymer dispersed liquid crystal film, or PDLC. PDLC film works by using a current to align crystals suspended in a gel. When the current is active, the crystals are aligned and you can see through it. When the current is taken away, the crystals randomize in position and the film goes opaque. I started prototyping and I made a pair of glasses with PDLC film. I called my device the Instrument Conditions, Awareness, Recognition, and Understanding System, or ICARUS. With ICARUS, a flight instructor can surprise a student by taking away their visual cues in the aircraft with the flick of a switch. This will simulate inadvertent IMC and allow the student to experience both the surprise and practice the transition that could be the life or death in an actual case of inadvertent IMC. Current prototypes take about $50 to produce, and the market could easily support an MSRP of $200. There are 100,000 registered certified flight instructors in the United States, equating to a $20 million market. Now, this is not including international customers, like the man I had from Belgium today ready to buy 4 of them, or a visor-mounted system for military and helicopter customers, which would be much higher end. To get ICARUS off the ground, I plan to start with collegiate flight schools, then move into the larger general aviation market, develop a visor system, and sell to the military and rotary wing customers. I had a Marine flight instructor tell me once that going inadvertent IMC was the most terrifying event of his life, and he had been shot at in Afghanistan. This is a real problem that needs a real solution, and ICARUS is that solution through better instrument training for all pilots. Thank you, and thank you to the Aeroinnovate program for this tremendous stage. Yes?
What's your ask as far as money and financing?
Currently, I'm exploring all my options, keeping all my options open, and looking for at least $50,000 to take the prototypes from something that I'm making in my garage to something that can retail for $200. And then it'll take more capital. I'm hoping to get some of that by sales of the glasses-mounted system for general aviation.
You look like a perfect Kickstarter project.
I was told that on Sunday, and that is definitely a consideration. Thank you.
So, have you, in terms of competition, I mean, obviously there's a lot of advances going on in flight simulators, and then your product. I mean, how are you going to, attack that market from simulators doing this versus actually doing it in flight?
I've flown inadvertent IMC in simulators. It's not the same. We had several $1 million Bell Jet Ranger simulators. Even though it was full motion, you can't simulate the disconnect between your vestibular system and the actual aircraft. There's really no way to do that without being in the aircraft. It's just not possible. And even if it were possible, those full motion simulators are extremely expensive, and especially general aviation pilots don't have. There's no Cessna 172 full motion simulators.
Have you experimented with kind of a partial, like gradual graying out or something like that, which might simulate it a little bit better?
Yes. So you can, by varying the current, you can vary the opacity of the film. So I was talking with a gentleman today about simulating on an instrument approach. Okay, right now, when you simulate an instrument approach breaking out, the instructor tells you to take the hood off and then it's clear in a million. But on some instrument approaches in the real deal, you break out and visibility is a mile, and it's still a hunt to find the airport. So what ICARUS could do is, okay, you've broken out, or you slowly increase the transparency so that the pilot can practice finding the airport in a degraded visual environment.
Sorry, I couldn't see the prototype, but are they like their goggles?
Yes. So
Are they like partially fogged up, like foggles that you can turn
yes.
on?
So they're based off of a foggle design.
Okay.
So I made basically a foggle that changes back and forth.
And do you have any physiological data that shows that it actually stimulates spatial disorientation?
No, right now I haven't had the resources. Actually, I've been talking with my friend Shanley right there's mom, who's an ophthalmologist, about trying to set up an experiment so that I can prove the spatial disorientation that ICARUS could create, opposed to regular train devices.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What's your IP? Do you have a provisional patent filed? Or?
The provisional patent is holding till December, and then I've been working with my patent attorney down in Florida. We're hoping to file within the next couple weeks.
Have you looked at a distribution model at all?
Web-based distribution would probably be the easiest
Direct
part.
sale?
Yes. I'm sorry?
Direct sale?
Yes, direct sale.
Rather than through the distribution?
You've got a provisional then?
Right, so I have provisional patent protection till December, and then the lawyers paid. We're coming up with the, we'll be filing well before December. Any other questions?
Did you talk about cost of the unit, what the unit cost is for this versus a traditional foggle?
Right, so probably my biggest hurdle to overcome is I'm trying to replace something that costs $20 with something that could cost $200. But I think that the added benefit in training more than pays for that. And one of the things I need to look into is working with insurance companies as an insurance deductible, getting a lower premiums for having this type of training, because I believe it will prove itself in the cockpit.
Have you looked at a film at rather putting on the shooting side of the window itself rather than the foggles to actually make
yes,
it more accurate?
Several people have brought that up. The problem is that the film requires a current to be clear, so it technically fails unsafe. So now there's two ways to look at that. You could say that, it fails to the unsafe condition, but it also fails to what you were using already, the foggles. So let's say you're in the airplane and the battery dies or something goes wrong, you break the wire. You can still complete the mission, it reverts back to that the system it replaced. Thank you.
Last question.
Do you have a price point on your cost of goods?
$50 currently. So I'm hoping to reduce that with scale.